So for those of you, thank you. For those of you who don't know me, my name is Andrew Tomasello, and it was exactly 1 year ago today that I was sitting down there, right, like everybody else, working with the college Republicans, just participating in really just like all of you are. So I was really active on campus. I was, on Saga. I was on doing a million things. I had a job lined up at home, working at Christie's office. I had a job set up in the fall when I came back to school. I was going to be an associate producer on a TV. Hello. I was going to be an associate producer on a TV show, and everything was great. I even got elected chairman of the college Republicans about this time, and everything was going great. So I've had this recurring tumor since 2012, and it wasn't cancerous at this point, and it recurred right in the back of my pelvis. So I thought, all right, you know what? I'll go in, get the surgery done, I'll come back in the fall. So I went in on May 29th for a 10-hour surgery where they took out the tumor. They removed 2/3 of my left pelvis, like right by my butt. And what else did they take out? And a little piece of my sacrum. So the surgery was a complete success. Thought everything was great. Then, I'll never forget this, it was the third week in June. I was sitting on my recliner watching Days of Our Lives. That's not even a joke. And I got a call from my doctor. He told me that the tumor had come back and there was a lot of areas of high-grade malignancies, which means cancer. So I was diagnosed with osteosarcoma, which is a rare form of a rare form of bone cancer. So he told me I would need to start chemotherapy immediately, and this was my new life. Everything completely stopped. So on July 1st, I went in for my first round of chemo, and it's really, really tough. About 10 days later, I lost my hair, as you can tell by my nice Dr. Evil Vin Diesel look. And let me tell you, you don't just go bald from chemo. You go hairless. Completely. Again, not a joke. So, my protocol was 19 rounds of high-dose chemotherapy and 35 rounds or 7 weeks of radiation. So, I started going through this, like I said, July 1st. And the first couple rounds of chemo were really, really tough. I was weak, I fell a few times, didn't really eat. I lost about 50 pounds, which wasn't really the worst thing in the world because I've never had a six-pack before, so that was cool. And, but it was during this time that I was pretty scared. And I didn't know what was going to happen. You think, your mind's running a million miles a minute, and you're just thinking, you don't know what's going to happen. You don't know what's going to happen. And that was the hardest part for me. So chemo continued. Then, around the second or third round, I decided it would be fun to go to the beach, which, when you're on chemo, your skin becomes very sensitive to sunlight. So I got some really gnarly burns on my chest, on my feet, everywhere. It was pretty bad. My doctor said it's the worst he'd ever seen. I'm like, leave it to me. And we had the beautiful pleasure of going in for chemo on my 21st birthday. Which is ironic, because I always knew I was going to spend my 21st birthday in the hospital sick. Never thought I was being from chemo. Thank you. So, month after month, this went by, and in the beginning, I started to feel myself getting depressed. I'd be in bed watching Netflix all day because I didn't have enough energy to get up, and I started to feel like I didn't have a purpose anymore because I was really busy. I did a lot of things, and now my life completely stopped, and I was in my bed watching Ellen and all this stuff, and it was crazy. But that's when I stopped, and when I started getting depressed, that's when I stopped, and I said, you know what, that's not how I'm going to beat this. I'm going to beat this by being myself and taking this head on, because this was my battle that, for whatever reason, I was chosen to do this. And that's how I'm going to do this. So I decided to do this by being me and with humor. And with that, all of my chemo was inpatient. So I had to spend 2 to 4 nights in the hospital, which in a couple weeks will amount to about 60 nights that I would have spent in the hospital. And I have become best friends with my nurses. They are special people. You should all follow me on Instagram, because what I did was, I took a nice little Post-it note and said it was Patron and put it on my chemo bag and walked around the hospital with it. Everyone thought it was really funny. So like I do stuff like that, and like, because all the other patients, because they're all sick and like everyone's having a hard time, everyone stays in bed and like doesn't move, doesn't leave. I'm like, nah. I go behind the nurses station, I order Mexican food with them. We have a great time. Yeah, Mexican food, all right. And people like that. So, what else did I do? I did a lot of crazy stuff with them. But that's how I was going to beat this. So, now this part was really important. I had to write it out. So, after all this, and now I've got 2 rounds left of chemo, but I stand here today the happiest I've ever been in my entire life. My eyes really opened up to much more than I ever thought possible, and it's because through all the times that I was sitting in bed, I realized I don't want to just survive. I want to live. Thank you. Everything that I've gained from this experience is much better than what I've lost. You know, life is just too short to just sit around and worry about all these stupid little small things. I'm just over it. Now, like, I just have the mentality that no one and no thing can get in my way, because whatever I want to do, I'm going to do it. Because life is just too short to just... Go for it, Andrew. Thank you, Sarah. Life is just way too short to just sit around. And, you know, when life gives you a second chance, you have to take it. There's no other options. And what else was I gonna say? A lot of the things that I've done was I've reconnected with a lot of people that I haven't seen in a really long time, and it's been nice. I've become much closer with my parents, my family, my sister. I've made a ton of great new friends throughout this experience and this journey. I've gotten rid of bad ones, that just negative people out of your life. And most ironically, I even went on a date with a Democrat. Yeah, that ended quickly. I learned my lesson. But, you know, we need to live to make ourselves happy and nobody else. I just live in the moment, and I don't plan and stress our lives away, because that's how you become unhappy. When you're so obsessed with what's going to happen in 6 months from now, 7 months from now. Sorry. You get stressed out and you become unhappy. Like, I'm happy. It's great. And like you always read on like BuzzFeed or like Thought Catalog, they're all just like, live in the moment. And like, you know, just like don't listen to people. Like, it's so cliche, but it's so true. Thank you, amen. It's so true. And, where was I? It's changed my life, it really has. And I started living in the moment because with all the treatment and everything, I couldn't think about 6 months down the road. Or even like another week, because something can happen like that. This would be better if I could snap, but something can happen like that, and everything would have to like, I could react bad to treatment or whatever. So I live day to day, today. And I took that mentality and I applied it to my everyday life. And it's been great. I can't believe I didn't do this before. And, okay, good, did that part. And I am just overwhelmed with all the support, because I see all of my friends here tonight, and it means so much to me, because I talked to Alyssa about this in September, and I said, listen, I want to come speak at this thing in April. I love speaking. And it's been something in the back of my mind that I've been looking forward to since I started this journey, because I knew once I got here, I have 13 days left, and then I can finally be called cancer-free and a survivor. And you know what? That is like one of the coolest things I'll be able to tell people. So, in the words of Beyonce, I'm a survivor. I'm gonna make it. I will survive and keep on surviving. Thanks, everyone.